Every 15 years, the creator unleashes millions of monsters to thin the herd. It all started on the first Judgment Day, when hordes of the creatures crawled out of former mines and wreaked havoc. Cities fell, millions perished. We managed to exterminate the monsters, but at a cost. To keep them locked out, we built gates over the former wells. These gates are our last defense against another invasion. But with each passing day, our fear grows that they'll one day break through. It's been 15 years since the world faced its biggest challenge, but life goes on. A school teacher, Laura, has moved on from the tragedy, yet still holds a grudge against her ex-husband Dave, who was absent during the fateful day. Meanwhile, their 15-year-old son Tyler is navigating the ups and downs of teenagehood, spending his days at the skate park with friends and playing computer games. Tyler serves as a source of contention between Laura and Dave, who have struggled to reconcile since their breakup. Laura also brushes off advances from Milton, a persistent suitor. The post-apocalyptic world is far from perfect, but the survivors are doing their best to make a new normal. Meanwhile, the situation is heating up. The end is near and the signs are clear. An eclipse looms, seismic activity spikes, protective domes on high alert, and the mass extinction of fish, all reminiscent of the first Judgment Day. Tyler's dad, Dave, gets a call from an old friend, Ted, who warns of the impending doom and urging them to take refuge in his shelter before the eclipse. The situation grows increasingly dire with each passing moment, as everything points to a new Judgment Day tomorrow. Will they make it to safety, or will they be caught in the chaos of the monster invasion? Only time will tell. The tension builds up. The first monster creeps under the protective dome, ascending the stairs in stealth. Laura, alarmed by the news reports, contacts Dave and demands that he bring Tyler to her immediately. Laura believes that the only hope for their safety lies in the shelter that Milton has reserved. Dave assures Laura that Tyler is safe with him. But just as he speaks these reassuring words, Tyler receives a text and slips away unseen. Dave rushes to Tyler's room only to find that he's gone. The situation is dire and time is running out. Can they reach safety before it's too late? Milton and Laura race to reach the shelter before it fills up, but Laura can't find her son. Milton uses his tech to track down Tyler at the skate park where he's with Maddie. She's scared as her parents left and she's alone. Tyler promises not to abandon her like his father did, but before they can escape, a cry pierces the air as giant flocks of birds fly overhead, causing panic. People flee. Dave abandons his car in search of Tyler. As he runs towards the park, he hopes he'll find his son before it's too late. The situation is dire, and time is running out in the face of this unknown danger. In the heart of this mysterious structure, the worker is meticulously monitoring the gauges. Suddenly, there's a commotion and unearthly noises. A beast emerges, and with a ferocity that sends chills down one's spine, it savagely tears apart the poor worker. The guards fire their weapons, but to no avail. Their standard ammunition is useless against the monster's hide. Meanwhile, Dave finds his son, and Tyler quickly fills him in on the situation, including the fact that Maddie had no escape and he couldn't abandon her in her time of need. Laura and Milton take a group to the pre-booked shelter. Unfortunately, they are faced with chaos in the city as streets are congested with people scrambling to evacuate. Upon arrival, they find that only women and children are allowed entry, and the military has sealed off the area. Dave entrusts Tyler to take care of his mother and send them inside, but Tyler refuses to leave his father and runs back to him. Laura and Maddie follow in pursuit. Tragically, the scoreboard updates with the devastating news that the shelter is at full capacity and there are no places left. Dave proposes a trip to Ted's desert hideaway, and Milton suggests the nearby school with its basement as a refuge. However, their progress is hindered by a massive traffic jam and a blocked road ahead. Suddenly, the ground trembles as an earthquake strikes and the sun's disk becomes shrouded in shadow, signaling the start of the eclipse. Out from under the protection of the dome, monsters start to emerge with their crawling, flying masses, taking over the city. Dave urges escape and wants to drive, but Milton won't hear of it, claiming that the car is his, and he knows how to save them all. Tempers flare until Milton is snatched up by a flying monster and carried off into the sky, leaving Laura screaming in despair. Dave quickly stuffs her into the car, and they race to escape this living nightmare. As Dave and his family travel down the canal, the car begins to run out of gas, and Dave searches for a replacement vehicle. He finds one, but is surprised to find an elderly man hiding in the back seat. Suddenly, a massive bloody monster resembling a bull skeleton walks by and begins to devour a nearby body. Dave quietly rolls the car back to his family, but the bull has now spotted them. Dave must now find a way to get his family to safety before the monster catches up to them. A man emerges from his car, attempts to calm a bull with salt, but the bull subsequently charges and kills him. Dave, Laura, and the kids escape in Dave's car and drive down a deserted mountain road towards Ted's hideout, a secure concrete bunker with cameras on the roof. When they arrive, no one answers the door. Inside, Ted is seated behind a monitor with a gun pointed at his neck, with an unknown figure behind him. In the shadows of the mountain, a horde of monsters charges towards a shelter. Dave, armed with nothing but a tire iron, prepares to defend his family. But as the monsters close in, the door to the bunker suddenly opens, and the family takes refuge within. There they find Ted, Dave's wife Stella, and a mysterious military man in the corner. Ted makes the introduction, revealing the stranger as Corporal Garrett Jensen. A tense moment passes as Dave sizes up the newcomer, but with the monsters howling outside, there's little time for questions. The monitors flicker with the monsters' violent attempts to break through the door, causing everyone to hold their breath in fear. Garrett, the quiet one in the group, remains silent and distant, lost in his own thoughts. Maddie breaks the silence, her voice trembling with fear as she asks how the monsters can feel them. Garrett's smug response sends shivers down their spines as he shares his belief that the monsters can see straight into their very souls. These creatures, born of the devil and God, inflict physical pain but feast on the essence of a person's being, their soul. Laura, seeking some kind of comfort, asks Garrett if he's religious, to which he answers yes. Garrett's words continue to flow as he recounts the horrors he witnessed on the first Judgment Day. He recalls how he hid in a pond of salty mud as his colleagues were brutally killed by the monsters. Completely engrossed in his tale, Garrett fails to notice Ted signaling Dave to grab the knife. The name Judgment Day holds a significant meaning as Garrett explains that it is a day when the devil reigns supreme. Suddenly, a centipede-like creature slithers in through a small hole in the mesh covering the window. Garrett takes charge and volunteers to take the first watch. Ted invites everyone to stay over, including Dave, who he gives a meaningful look. But then things take a turn for the worse when Garrett pulls out a gun, making Dave put down his knife. Garrett reveals that he found this hideout while trying to hide, and despite Ted being against it, kind Stella let him in. He's determined to survive no matter what, even if it means taking extreme measures. Tyler tries to take the gun away from Garrett, and it comes to a fight, but unfortunately Tyler is tossed aside. Dave steps in to comfort Corporal while the situation intensifies. Suddenly, a multi-legged monster bursts out of the wall and attacks Stella. Ted jumps in and rips it of his wife's neck, then pours salt on it while Dave grabs Garrett's gun and takes a shot. They tie up Garrett while doing their best to help Stella, who's bleeding. Suddenly, Dave spots a massive bull that seems to be helping the monsters. He realizes they're in big trouble and need to get out of there ASAP, but Ted doesn't want to leave. He worried that his wife won't survive outside. However, Stella convinces him to go with the others through an underground passage that leads to the mountains. Garrett offers to drive them in his car since it has a full tank of gas, and he knows the way to the bunker where they'll be safe from the creatures. At first, nobody believes him, but he swears he's just trying to survive and help them out. Eventually, they agree to let him come along with Dave, promising to forget about everything if they make it to safety. To prepare for the journey, Ted brings out his whole collection of weapons and they all gear up. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, but they're ready to face whatever's waiting for them outside. The bull continue breaking down the door, causing them run as fast as they can through the tunnel. They finally make it to the car, but Stella is feeling really sick. Things get heated between Dave and Laura as she blames him that they could be in the shelter now. Suddenly, Tyler spots a dead monster on the side of the road. Maddie goes to check it out, but the next thing they know, tentacles start wrapping around her legs and pulling her towards a hole in the ground. Maddie starts screaming like crazy, so Tyler and Dave jump in to save her before it's too late. As the situation seems dire, Garrett offers his assistance and Dave swiftly cuts the ropes binding him. Together, they climb to the top of the mountain and witness a heartbreaking sight, a once thriving city now reduced to ashes. As they make their way back down to the car, they realize it won't start. Panic sets in as monstrous figures appear on the mountaintop and hurtle towards them. Garrett frantically tries to get the engine running, while Stella contemplates her options, surveying the menacing horde before her. Her husband Ted implores her to surrender her gun, but Stella boldly steps out of the vehicle and faces the creatures head-on, knowing that her fate is sealed. Ted weeps and calls out to her, but Dave swiftly bundles him into the car, and they make a narrow escape with the creatures in hot pursuit. Amid the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerges as they pick up a radio signal. The transmission reports that most shelters have fallen to the onslaught and been destroyed. Laura tenderly places her hand on Dave's shoulder as he gently comforts her. Together, they steel themselves for whatever lies ahead, knowing that they have to keep moving forward. As they arrive at the gate, the doors stand open, beckoning them in. Garrett informs the group that their hideout is located in the basement. However, to reach it, they'll need to restore the power. Without hesitation, Dave and Garrett set out to get it up and running, while the rest of the group splits off to find a first aid kit for Ted's injury. Dave deftly restores electricity, and Garrett reveals that the gate had been prepared for a potential second invasion. Tons of salt were pumped into the gate to keep the monsters at bay, but the well was too deep. Suddenly, they hear a chilling roar in the distance, and fear grips them as they stumble upon a bloody corpse. The clock is ticking, and they got 2 hours left until the end of the eclipse. Garrett's got a plan, and it involves hiding in a chemical warehouse with doors that are damn near impenetrable. But things take a turn when a monster attacks Garrett, so he and Dave have to deal with it. The commotion attracts the rest of those damn monsters, and Garrett quickly runs through a door and closes it behind him, and then gives himself some kind of injection. Now Dave's got a job to do. He's going to level the playing field and get those monsters out of here for good. He's heading out to funnel the salt water through the tank pipes, and he needs Tyler to keep his mother safe while he's gone. Laura gives Dave a kiss and tells him to be careful. Dave gotta make his way through the ventilation and get to the taps next to a monster that's chowing down on some poor soul. He needs to turn off the taps and collect as much water as possible in containers. But this is not a walk in the park. The monster won't just sit there and let him do his thing. Oh no, it's going to come after him, teeth bared and claws out. But Dave is not one to back down. He fights back with all he's got, sprinkling that monster with salt until it crumbles to dust. That's how it's done, folks. That's how you handle business in a world overrun by monsters. Meanwhile, they got a problem. The monsters have surrounded the group and they're getting closer by the second. But survivors ain't going down without a fight. Tyler's shooting back, but it's not enough. That's when Dave asks for the fire alarm to be turned on. At that moment, Ted knows what he has to do, and he goes at the monsters with nothing but an axe, taking on multiple of those suckers at once. Tyler's trying to help, but he's out of ammo. It's up to Dave's plan now, and when that salt water hits, those monsters go down into a painful bloody dust. People safe now, but they lost one of their own. Ted fought with everything he had. The eclipse ends, but they won't forget what they had to do to survive. All monsters return through the gate back. Meanwhile, Garrett, armed with gun, shoots Tyler and claims that this world is no longer people's world, and Tyler won't survive anyway. Laura tries to shield her son, but Dave can't let them get hurt. He takes down Garrett with a swift hit to the head with a fire extinguisher, but the fight is far from over. Out of nowhere, a huge monster emerges, and it's headed straight for them. It devours Garrett whole, and others know that they're in deep trouble, but they won't give up, no matter how hopeless it may seem. They rush to the medical unit, mix together a salty poison that we know will take down the monster, which is getting closer. When it kicks down the door, Dave throws the canister of mixture, it explodes, and the monster roars wildly as it crumbles to dust. Laura embraces Dave, and they can hardly believe they've made it out alive. But they have. They step outside, and even though the world is in ruins, they know that they've won. They've defeated the darkness, and maybe this is another respite, but life will reborn, and the light will always triumph over the darkness. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.